Yes.
My name's Eve Light. I'm one of the people from the local community who organised this protest today against the vile, racist and anti-Semitic graffiti that we saw just over there on Barclays Bank, a local Caribbean restaurant about 2 minutes walk away from here, and then down in the Pleasant just at the end of the hill. We wanted to get people together in our local area to stand up to racism and to make it absolutely clear, racists and Nazis ain't welcome in our community. I'm not going to say very much other than two quick things. At the end, when everybody's finished speaking, it would be great if we could all get together to have a couple of photos. The other thing is, I have a list here. If you're from the local area and would like to put your name down so that if, God forbid, but if anything else happens like this, we've got a group of us who are organised and can respond immediately together as a community. I've got the list here, I ain't giving it out, so if you want to come up to me afterwards and you can sign it. I'm really pleased that we've got two people here today who are going to say a couple of words for my local community. First of all, I'm going to give the megaphone to David Gardner.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I cut my political teeth back in the early 70s when I was just at secondary school campaigning against the National Front, holding vigils like this against the National Front. Then when I went then to Manchester University, we went out to Oldham and Burnley and places like that, again, as they tried to preach their hatred and have their marches for white supremacy campaigning against the National Front, then marching with the Rock Against Racism and Anti-Nazi League, and that very much was my entry into politics or political development. And then in recent years I've tended to think, well, we're now far more of a tolerant multicultural society. We had our BNP and then we had Farage and so forth. There is some nastiness, there is some intolerance, there is discrimination, but we don't get the sort of antics that we used to get in the days of the NF and their graffiti and so forth. But recently, certainly since the referendum in 2016, things have begun to change. The number of racist and xenophobic and homophobic attacks in the borough has gone up quite markedly since the 2016 referendum. And this will just not be tolerated. There is no place in Greenwich or anywhere else for hate. There is no place for intolerance. There is no place for violence on the basis of people's race, their faith, or any other quality. And we will not tolerate any manifestation of that. So I'm very pleased that Greenwich Council were very quick to get the graffiti off, very quick to work with the proprietors, Barclays Bank and the Caribbean Takeaway. We've got to remember this happened just a day or so before the Holocaust Memorial Day, and it was very moving then in the town hall on Monday morning after this happened to have a huge turnout to commemorate the Holocaust Memorial Day and all that meant. And what resonated to me was sort of the symbols awful symbols you saw on Barclays Bank were resonant to the type of symbols you got in the lead up to Kristallnacht in Germany. And we will just not tolerate any of that in our society. And it's really important that we as Greenwich citizens and Londoners stand together, stand united against racism, people of all faiths, all races, all religions and so forth. So the only other thing I would say is that it's very important. Obviously the police have been very helpful and cooperative, but they've got to do a job in trying to find the perpetrators of this hate. And so it's always useful to know not to clear off any graffiti immediately so the police have a chance to do forensic checks so that they can try to trace the perpetrators of this hate. There are not many perpetrators like this, but we need to make it clear that they do not act in our name they act against the will of the vast majority of Londoners, and we will stand together and continue to stand together, stand up to racism, and stand for hope over fear, hope not hate. Thank you very much. Pass on to my colleague. We've got 6 councillors here, so we've got lots of members of the community. We've got 6 councillors, as myself as deputy leader, Councillor Brain, who represents Peninsula, where the Pleasance had some attacks in the trees. We've got Councillor Fahy here from Woolwich Riverside, and we've got Councillor Tester from Cold Harbour, but lives locally, a Conservative councillor, and we've got Councillor Brighty, who's a local councillor in this area. But now I'm going to pass on to Councillor Anne-Marie Cousins, who represents Abbey Wood.
Apparently I've got to bark into this and really shout into this to be heard. Good afternoon, everybody. It's absolutely fantastic to see so many of you out here. Well done to Eve for springing into action and organising this, but it wouldn't be anything without all of you here. And I thought that from Abbey Wood, you know, the leafy green suburbs of Greenwich, I was going to get down here too to show my support. You know what, I've come down here and I've seen so many things, but you know what really struck me the most? What really this is all about? There's a young lady here, come forward my sweetie in blue, and what it says there, be kind to others, even if they are different. That's what her sign says. I'll read it again, just in case anybody didn't hear. Be kind to others. That's what it's about, even if they're different. But you know what you guys have done? Action speaks louder than words. You're here in broad daylight, the sun is shining down on us, it's a little bit windy. I noticed Mr. Jamaica up there, my country of origin. You know, it's struggling to get its flag, but you know, it's there. And we're here in broad daylight. We didn't come out on the darkness, on the cover of night sky when nobody saw us, to put vile, disgusting rhetoric, you know, words. It doesn't even mean, and you know, what is it? They're hidden. Well, we're here in broad daylight to say, no way, Jose, no way. We are here and we will stand up. It's because it's by standing up, it's by being here in broad daylight that we are taking positive action to show that really and truly this is zero tolerance in action. Zero tolerance don't mean saying the words and doing nothing. It means saying the words and coming out in action, in support, in solidarity. We're not tolerating it. Go and hide. Go back under the rock you crawled out of. You are afraid. You can't come out and do this in public because you know it's not tolerated. So children, you've done the right things. Parents, you brought your children out here. This is fantastic education. When you go back into school and they ask you what you did on Sunday, you tell them, we learned that we are to be kind to everyone, even if they are different. Oh, there's another one there. People might look different, but are the same on the inside. God, I tell you, I bleed red too. Quite right, right? We have feelings. Words been heard. We have feelings, and we must stop it. We must be kind to everyone, okay? You look after your friends and each other in school. This is what it's about. And you grow up to be loving young adults and grow up to be loving older adults. We've got all generations here. This is what it's all about. This is a community. We say no by coming out in solidarity. We're not tolerating that sort of nonsense. And whomever do it, it should be, well, they are. That's why they came out at night, ashamed and disgraced themselves. Thank you all. Well done, and have a fantastic Sunday. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Just to finish off, is there any chance we could all sort of stand this way and face that way, and we can get a decent photo of everybody together. Is that all right with everyone? Yeah, kids at the front.
Kids at the front. Kids at the front.
Right, this is the bit where you've all got to say cheese.
It's on your shoulder now, it's to be confused. It's a
Just been us a week.